talk about how to make a podcast kill within Voiceflow. And because we want to do, we try to alternate between intermediate or advanced projects and also beginners and intermediate users. So what we are going to do today is more a beginner intermediate project. And that's mean that we are not going to use any code block or any advanced trick in there. But we still will do a pretty interesting project for those who are trying to make a podcast kill in the way that we will allow the user to do a search by any word in the title, for example, but also as it has been requested today on the Facebook page, group page, do a search by episode number, for example. So let me share my screen right now. All right, so first thing first, as you may know already, we do have a template called RSS feed parser demo, and this one is using the RSS to JSON API. So basically, you will grab RSS feed URL, you put that in, and it will generate the JSON. So you can obviously take the API endpoint or the API URL, I should say, and you use that in the API integration block. So it will result with a JSON, and from that JSON you can take all the information you need. So you have multiple items for that one, for example, with the title, thumbnail, description, content, and also, of course, the link to the audio URL. So that's easy. That's dynamic. It means that you don't have to do anything because this will grab all the information from the RSS feed. But at the same time, it can be limited if you are not using any code block with some JavaScript to handle the JSON. I mean, that can do it with, for example, if you want to grab the last 5 episodes, because you will have to create all the 5 variables for that, for each item. So, for example, episode 1 title, episode 1 description, episode 1 link, and stuff like that. And you will do, you will have to do that 5 times. And you can avoid that by using code and stuff. But today we want to stick on one rule: do not use code block. So here we go. That's the project. Just for some context here, we are using TED Talks Daily podcast. I found that on this website, Podcast Republic, where you will have all the latest episode. But instead of using a call to the RSS, we will use an Airtable database. And we are doing this to be able to handle the search part of the skill. Without that, it will be tricky to do it without code. So the good thing with Airtable is you can use some formula when you do an API call to the Airtable that will allow you to do a search. And the search can be on a specific column, for example, the title, description, URL, whatever. So as you can see here, what I've done is basically I've copy-pasted the link of the RSS feed. I've pasted that right there, and I've copy-pasted all the 5 first episode, or the 5 last episode, I should say. What I'm using is the title, the content, and the link. So again, title, description link. And I've added also a column for the number, which will be helpful for us to retrieve an episode with their episode number. The last thing I've added is the date, simply because we are going to short the list by date. So we will be sure to, I will explain that a bit later, but that's a way to be sure that the episode will be ordered as we want. So like this one, the first one will be the last one. And that's why we want regarding how the project will work. So first thing first, I'm using markup here. The project will be available right after the Fix It Hour on our marketplace. I've also shared the link to the Airtab database. So this is basically this. So you can have an idea of how it works actually. And what we are using also, and you should try that more and more often, is the prompt. And with that, so the prompt will basically just open the mic or listen to the user utterance. And the utterance again is the user answer, what the user will say. And to catch that, because it's fine to let Alexa or Google listen to the user utterance, but you want to do something with that, and you need to catch that with some intent. And for that, we are using intent block. So that's the one, intent block. I will go a bit further on how this is working after, but I will do a first tour of the project before, and then we will go a bit deeper in that. The most important one to begin with is this one, the red one. Set your Airtable info here. So for those that are not used to, I haven't already used Airtable in a project. What you need to do when you have a table database like that is click on the help and API documentation. This will open a new tab. And from that, you will have access to all the API call you can access to list, record, retrieve, create, update. We are not going to update, create anything here. We will just retrieve a list also. And so all the information you need in this set block, so the API key, the app name, and the table name, you can find them right there in the documentation. So you tick that, you tick this box right there, show the API key. And so this is the app name, this is the table name, and this is the API key. So again, app name, start with app, table name. So table name is this, basically the name of the table. And the API key is this one. So once you got all the information, you put that right there. I will let this demo for you to try. You will have access to this database. And that's pretty much it. I mean, to set up the project. Obviously, after that, you will have to put whatever you want right there, title, description, URL. But I mean, on the project side, that's all you have to do. So how the thing works, actually. We have two main intents. So the first one is last intent. And this will allow the users to play the last episode. So actually, we will play the last one, but we will also grab the 5 last episode. So the 5 newest episode, I should say. So that's the main the main goal of the last intent. And we also have a search intent. And this one will allow the user to do a search with a word in the title, or also search for an episode number. So let's start first by the last intent. So we have some U-turns here. We are not using any slot because we don't need any more information. And the user will say, okay, play the last one, or play this one, play that episode, listen to this episode, regarding the prompt we had here. So the first one is, yeah, not sure we'll have the sound right there. We'll take care of that a bit later. But basically, we welcome the user with this message: would you like to listen to the last episode, or do you want to search for a particular one? So if the user say, I want to listen to the last episode, we will go straight to this flow. Again, we have two intent block, last and search, but also linked to that we have two different flow: the latest flow and the search flow. Let's dive in the latest one. So the latest flow, sorry. And here's what we have. So the first thing we are going to do, and as you remember, we already populated the setting here. So we are setting API key, app name, and table name. So we can use those variable everywhere in the project. We don't have to set that each time. And this is what we are doing right there in the first call. Here we are using the app name variable and the table name variable, but also the API key. So this first call, get last 5, will actually grab the last 5 episodes. And on the Airtable end, the param to do that is just to set max record. So we want a maximum result of 5 records. We only want only want 5 items here. Regarding the ordering, or to be sure that we have the episode in the correct order, as I was explaining in the beginning of the session, we use this sorted by one field, and the field is date. So we are sorting the episode by the date value, and to get that information, we should also tell Airtable with the API call which view are we going to use. So the view is the grid view, and because we are forcing or using the grid view, we will have the corresponding value sorted by this filter. And that's why we have this param right there, view equal grid view. So we are using the grid view to get the 5 max record. And with that, we are now simply map all the results to the different variable. So the variable are actually title, description, and URL. So T1, D1, U1, T2, D2, U2. You can use whatever name you want, but yeah, here we are just using like T for title, D for description, and U for URL. And we do that for 5 episodes. So we that's also why I've said before that using more than 5 can be kind of difficult to handle after that. Otherwise, you will have a lot of variable to deal with. And same thing here. 5 is fine. If you are going to use that for 10, or like the 10 last one, you will start to have a big block here. So I mean, because we are also adding a search and a search by word or by episode number, it's fine if we only give the user the last 5 one for this part of the skill, in this part of the skill. So after mapping all the value from the Airtable to a different variable, we are now doing a simple loop. For that, basically, we are setting the current podcast to 0 when we entering the flow. So basically, we are resetting everything. We start on the podcast 0, which is the first one. And then from that, we will play the different corresponding episodes. Sorry. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 episodes. If it's 0, we'll map that to 1. So we are setting the variable to 1. Then it's just mapping again. So we are for our stream block. This is the stream block. We are not using to get or use the T1, T2, T3. We are just going to map that to the same variable. So the main variable we are going to use right there are current title, current URL, and that's it, and current description. Sorry. So the stream block will have, sorry, that's the title. The stream block will have just some visual, but also the current URL. That's the main thing here. We need a current title and the current description. This will be visible on the phone if you are running that within the Alexa app, or from any device with a screen, with a display. Same for the icon. So you will have a little icon and then the title and the description. That's it. If the user, during the playback, if the user say next, previous, or stop or pause, then we have some logic here. So for example, let's say I'm listening to the last episode. So that's the episode 5. I'm going to, but the current podcast is equal to 1. We are going to set the current podcast episode to +1, where we had 1 because we want to listen to the next one. We just do a quick check that if the current podcast is upper than 5, greater than 5, then we are resetting the current podcast to 1. So this will allow you to do a full loop. So let's say I'm listening to episode 5. If I add 1 to the current podcast variable, I will be on episode 6, which is not possible. We only have 5 episodes. So if it's 6, then we are resetting that to current podcast equal 1. And we do the loop from the beginning. And that's the exact same thing if we do a previous. If we are lower than 1, it means that we don't have any more episode. We've made a full loop. So again, we are resetting that to the beginning, so to 1. That's it for that. The pause, this is something you can add when you, let me add a stream right there. It's in platform. Yep, it's here. So this is something you have to enable right there. Add custom pause. By default, you don't have the custom pause. This is something you can, again, you can add right there. And what this will allow you to do is, basically, this is something user asked us before, like I think it was last week. And something you want to know is when you are entering the stream block, basically, if you don't link anything right there, you are exiting your scale. So Alexa will take the lead and use another layer. So the layer will be the stream player. That's why you have all the information, the title, description, and the visual. That's Alexa is handling all that. So you should think that when you are entering the stream block, you are not anymore in the skill. The only way to go back to the skill is by using the system default intent. So next, previous, for example, play, pause, resume, stop, and cancel. So when you say stop, Voiceflow will catch that in the pause. So pause and stop will do basically the same thing. So what we are doing and why we are using here this pause, it's just to prompt the user for a new action. So we basically keep the hand, or we try to catch back the user in the skill and prompt them that what's next action do you want to do? So do you want to search for another episode or stop the skill? I should add a warning on that. That's something I've added for this demo, but it may fail the certification. I'm not sure of that, but for most of the case, when the user says stop, the skill should stop. So that's maybe a feedback you will have if you are using this kind of stuff in your skill. I'll just put that there for the demo. I will try to have more feedback from some user that will use this kind of trick to see if regarding the region there are, if the certification team allow that or not. But yeah, you should be aware of that. So if the certification team is not okay with that, at least in your region or on the market you are targeting, or the country, you basically you will have to say the user before that they can do that by using the wake word and a one-shot invocation. So for example, here the invocation is TED Talks Daily Podcast, but because we are using intent in the main flow, we are also able to handle one-shot invocation. So for example, if the user say, ask TED Talks Daily Podcast for an episode about climate change, this will work. So, but they will have to do that during a stream playback. During, in the skill, before the stream playback, they can trigger the intent whenever they want, only with the wake word. So Alexa, for example, Alexa, search for something. Alexa, play the episode number 5. That will work. As soon as they will enter the stream block, this will not work. So they will have to use the stop. And if that's something that is wrong for the certification team, then you will tell them to do the full invocation, the one-shot invocation for that to work. So that's it for the last 5 episodes. Again, the looping stuff is not so complicated. It can look like a lot of block, but it's not really that much. Basically, you have just you are setting the current title, description, and URL regarding which episode the user is playing right now, or regarding if the user said next, then you are basically mapping the corresponding episode value to the main variable. Again, current title, current URL, current description. So you do that. You do this loop. For the search part of the skill of the project, there are a bit more here. So first, we are using a kind of a catch-all intent because as you may know, the only way to catch raw data or a word when you don't know what the user will actually say, or because here we are using a lot of there's a lot of things that the user can search for in the title. So we are not going to do uterine or to add uterines to match that, to try to match that. And again, that will not work as soon as you will add a new episode. You will also have to update the skill. So that will be kind of a pain, and we don't want that. So the way to do that is by using one slot that tend to grab pretty much everything. There are some slots that can do that. So the most useful one is the search query slot, but this one needs a carrier phrase or a context phrase. So that means that if you want to use this slot, you can't just do, for example, that slot search. You can add that; it's already there. You can use it like that. That will not work, or at least Alexa will not allow you to use it like that. So you will need to add something before. So that can be something that you will use with, for example, if in the conversation you ask the user to trigger that request. For example, you can tell the user to start the sentence with search for, and then if you add that with a search query, that will work. But it can be weird to force the user to use a word to trigger the intent. It's not really natural. So sometimes it can't work because the user will anyway, the user will use the search for carrier phrase, for example. But let's take the first name example. So first name example, first name slot type, for example, you can use it without anything right there. Simply because when you ask the first name to you ask someone for a first name, they can say just the first name, like Nico, but they can also say my name is Nico or I'm Nico, but most of the time they will just answer by the first name. So in that case, and here we want to be able to grab the search term without asking the user to trigger something before, or we don't want to use a carrier phrase right there. So for that, we are using the book slot type. You can use I think the movie one is a good one also. Basically, you want to use slots that will grab pretty much everything. There's a lot of chance of that the word you are looking for are already in the book slot type. So again, that's a bit tricky, but that's how you can do that actually. So in this particular project, we are using the book to grab any words that the user will search for, and a number, slot type number, to get the episode number. And again, the intent the utterance will look like that. So find an episode about, that's the slot search will be a search for the word, when the slot number will be the episode number. So that's a mix of how the user can ask for a search. We do also have some utterance without any slots, just because I will go through the conversation, but the user can also just ask for a search, and then we will help them to do the search as we want. So for example, a simple question is, do you want to listen for the last 5 episodes or for the last episode, or do you want to do a search? The user will, the first time the user will use the skill, they will say search or do a search. After that, when they used to play with the skill, they will say search for something, for example. And we want to be able to handle both. So that's exactly what we are doing right there, mixing U-turns only and U-turns with also slot. I mean, U-turns, some U-turns example with without slot or with slot. Go back right there. So that's the entry point. Again, we are using a prompt right there. So as soon as the skill starts, we will open the mic and listen for the last episode or a search. The only thing I've added right before starting this session is about this block. Firstly, the set block was right in the beginning, right there. The issue with that is as soon as the user will, or if the user choose to launch the skill with a one-shot invocation. So again, one-shot invocation will be something like ask Ted task daily podcast for an episode about climate change. If they do that on the first launch, we should be able to populate the variable we need for the AirType API call. Otherwise, the skill will break because if we put that right there, we are not going to start the skill here. If the user do a one-shot invocation, we are going to start the skill from there. So this is something you should keep in mind when you are using one-shot invocation. Just remember that the user will maybe they will start the skill the first time straight with a one-shot invocation because maybe they are already they use already skill that do that. They used to. You've added the invocation example in the description, for example, so they've seen it and they want to try it straight away. So that's why you have some logic here, and the logic is if the variable set is not equal to 1, it means that nothing has been set already, and then we are going to this block. That's also a way for me to avoid you to have to set the variable to multiple blocks. Of course, you should also copy paste that, put in one here, and one here, and get rid of all the logic right there. But for an educational purpose here, I think it's a good thing for you to maybe understand how to deal with that. And one of the ways to deal with that is just by using a set, so a variable, whatever the variable name you want to use, but set it to 1 as soon as you have set the variable you need. So here, as soon as we have set the API key, the app name, or the table name, we are setting the set variable to 1. So each time the user will enter any of those blocks, if set is equal to 1, we are sure that this has been set already. So we can use invocation, one-shot invocation, or they can start the skill from the beginning. That will work. The other thing here is this set. So I'm using a type variable, so a variable I've named type. It's just to avoid to use 2 blocks for that. So if the user use one-shot invocation and go through the last intent, and we want to use only one block, here at the end, we are going to redirect to somewhere, but somewhere need to be known. So somewhere can be latest, but that can also be the search if the user chooses to do a search. But again, we are using the same block. So at a moment, we will have to redirect the user to the corresponding flow regarding the intent they triggered. And to do that is simply just set a type. So this is last, this is search. And regarding the type right there, we are redirecting to the corresponding flow. Again, this is more to show you a way to do that. Of course, you can just copy paste the block and yeah, but it's just how I like to do things. If I can avoid you to have to type 3 times the same thing, I will do that. So that's how I've made that. Let's go to the search intent then. Yeah, that's the flow we are going to go. So some more block here because again, we are not using any code or stuff like that. So obviously we will have to use a bit of more block, but it's not, I mean, it's not that much. We don't have, how many block we have right there? 12. So that's not a big thing. The first thing we are going to do, each time we are entering the subflow search, we are visiting some variable. And this variable is the search title. Search title will be the results. So if we are searching for an episode number or a word in the title, the Airtable API call will send us a response. And if we have a title in that, which, I mean, if we do have a response or an episode that corresponds to what we are searching for, then the search title will be equal to the title value right there. But as we can also have no result from the API, I mean, if we do a search for episode 10 and we don't have any episode 10, or if we search for a word that is not available in the title, we will not have anything I mean, the response will be a success, but we don't have any record. So the search title will be still equal to 0, which will help us to deal with that after. So if the search title equals 0, and this, yeah, you know what? Before going to this part, I will talk about the 2 different API calls. So we have to split that in 2 calls. The first one will be a search for a word in the title. The second one will be a search for an episode number. And we have split that simply because the conversation is a bit different, the wording. Here we go looking for in your episode. So for climate change, for example, in your episode, which will be a bit different for a number. Okay, looking for episode number and the slot number. So first, because we have a different convo here or dialogue here, we are that's also why we want to split that in 2. The second thing is the request will be different regarding if we are doing a search for a word or for the episode number. So let's start with the search for a word. So the filter by formula value we are sending. So that's the thing that will allow you to do a search in the Airtable, and that's also the thing that will avoid you to use code block in your project. So basically, what we are seeing here is search for slot search, and slot search is the again, if you remember, it's the slot we are using in the search intent. Slot search is the book one, and number slot number is the number slot type. So we allow the user to do two kinds of search, and this one use the slot search. So the slot will be populated by whatever word I will say for my search, and we are doing the search in the title column. So this one. So for example, Harpit asked me to do a search with artist name. I mean, that will be the same thing. You can add a column here and type artist or author. And instead of doing the search in the title, you will do that in the artist or author column. And that will work the same way. The tips here is to use the lower. That's a function available on the Airtable end that will lowercase any string you will send right there. So you do the comparison between a lower string to a lower string. That's avoid you the headache to put that in lowercase for everything, or if you are looking for pandemic and Alexa recognize pandemic as a name, for example, and put an uppercase P. This is to avoid this kind of situation. So formula again, search for lower slot search in the title value, but also in lowercase. If we do have something, we will map that to the search title, search description, and search URL. That's pretty much the same thing as for the latest flow. We are mapping that to a main variable like current title, current description, and current URL. Just here we are using the search title, search description, and search URL. So that's for the search by word, search by number. That's pretty much the same thing, but instead we don't need to do a lowercase right there. We are just do a comparison to the slot number in the number column. The only thing you should know here is, as you can see here, number is not set to an integer or a number. It's set to a single line text or a string, and that's the only way I was able to make it work. I've tried a lot of stuff, but as I was not much time to do it, I will try to investigate on that. But for now, this one will work as soon as the value here is set to how they call that? That's a string, but they call that a single line text. They do have a value as for a upper or lowercase. They also have a value that should convert any string to a number. Is not working here. So this one is working, so we'll use that. But just for you to know, if you're asking yourself why it's a string here. So same thing. If we do have a record as a response, we will map that, and we do that's where we are doing our logic. So we have to block here. If search title equals 0 and slot search equals 0, which means if the user didn't make a search by title, but instead do a search by number, and the slot search is equal 0. If the title equals 0, mean that we don't have any result from the API, and it was not a slot search. So slot search equals 0 means that the slot has not been populated yet. We are in a search for a number. So the message will be different. Sorry, I didn't found the episode number, slot number. Do you want to make another search? Listen to the last episode. I'll stop the skill. And this one will talk about the word. So I didn't find any episode with slot search, so the word, in the title. And that's exactly what these both conditions are doing. So it can be a kind of weird because here we are using the slot search to redirect to the number message, but it just means that if the user hasn't hasn't populated the slot search, so that means that they are using the number slot, the slot number. And that's the same thing here, but the opposite. Search title equals 0. We don't have any results. And the user was not doing a slot number search, but he was populating the search slot. Otherwise, that's a success. So the title is not equal 0. Search title is not equal 0. So we can now reset back the slot search and slot number to 0. Just to be sure that on the next search, we will not have slots populated even if the user didn't trigger the correct slot. For example, if we do not reset that, and I first made a search for a word, this value will still be the word I was looking for. And then I'm doing a search for a number. Well, if I'm not resetting the first one, so the slot search, I will have a slot number value, but also a slot search. So that will screw our logic here. That's why we are resetting back to 0. So here we have a message. We have found search title. So that's the result, the episode title. Do you want to listen to it right now? Hear more about this episode or search for another one. So we found something, but we also grab some information from it, from the Airtable. We have a description, for example. So the user may want to be sure that's the correct one they want to use, they want to listen to. So they can also ask for the description. And here we have a new intent, which is tell me more, hear the description, give me more info and stuff like that. So they have the choice to say that, or using the same last intent, play this one, play that one, play that episode, listen, and stuff like that. So they can just go to listen, choose to listen straight away the episode, or ask for the description. And the description will be there. Search description, again, from the mapping we've done in the API block. Do you want to play the episode or search for another one? So we are going back to the same choice block here. And from they can trigger the search intent again, because this intent is available globally as we have that on the main on the main flow. So even in the subflow, if I'm asking to, or if the user asks to do another search, this will trigger the search intent. Even after a search and listen to a description, if the user, if they did choose to finally listen to the last episode, they can say, listen to the last episode, and they will go to the latest flow and listen to the last episode. So that's a good way to avoid the user to have to go to some step to do stuff. Here they are always free to ask for the action they want to do, and you can do that with the help of the intent block. So let's say they choose to listen for the description. They have the description, then going back right there to the choice block, and they now choose to listen to the episode. So, okay, you are now listening to search title, and that's the same thing. We have the same configuration as in the other flow. Next, previous, and pause. If they should say pause, we have a prompt, and and we are also listing here the slot search and slot title, search title. Listening, and we are using a prompt right there, again, to give them the opportunity to ask for whatever they want. So they can stop the skill, they can listen to a last episode, or do another search. I think we've made all the tour here. Let me check if we have some question. I will do the demo right after that. All right. I think we don't have any question. Cool. Let's go back to the home flow. And yeah, last thing, let's say you want to add an episode right there. I have prepared someone right there. That's the description. So that's something you can do on your hand on Airtable. The skill is live, and this will be the number 6, and you put today's date, and it should be, I don't know why it's not going to do, but it should short that automatically to the top, but it's not. Date, yes. Weirdly, okay, seems like the refresh is not working too well right now. Yeah, last time I've tested that. As soon as you enter and select the date, it will go up to the top. But I mean, that's the demo effect. So yeah, the new one is this one right now. So just to update the episode list, you just have to update your Airtable basically, and the skill will go through the last 5 episodes. So this one will not be available anymore if the user asks for the last episode and do a next, previous. But this one will still be available if the user wants to search for it. So if they want to search for foods, for example, or episode number 1, this one will still be available in the skill. All right, let's do a quick test. So I can't test that on the Alexa Developer Console Simulator simply because the simulator cannot emulate any stream right now. So I will do that on the device. Open TED Talks Daily Podcast.
Welcome to TED Talks Daily Podcast. Would you like to listen to the last episode, or do you want to search for a particular one?
Listen to the last episode.
You are now listening a friendly, autonomous robot that delivers your food.
So that's the one. As you can see, we have it. We've added this one, and it's now
Los Angeles, which is world-renowned for its car
handling as the last
no matter
one.
Where you are,
because that's actually the last one.
Whether it's driving or parking, places astronomical.
Stop.
Do you want to search for another episode or stop the skill?
Search for episode number 4.
Can you give me a word presence in the title of the episode's number you want to search for?
Yeah, I was a bit long on that. Search for episode number 4.
Okay, looking for episode number 4. We found Africa is a sleeping giant. I'm trying to wake it up. Adiola Feahan. Do you want to listen to it right now? Hear more about this episode or search for another one?
Hear more.
Africa is like a sleeping giant, says journalist
so we are here, episode 4.
At the beginning of this hilarious, incisive talk. The truth is I am trying to wake up this giant. That's why I air the dirty laundry of those in charge. Follow along as she roasts corrupt Africa.
Listen to this episode.
Okay, you are now listening. Africa is a sleeping giant. I'm trying to wake it up. Adiola Feahan.
Okay.
Hi, you're listening to TED Talks Daily. I'm Elise.
Stop.
Do you want to make another search? Listen to the last episode or stop the skill?
Search for climate change.
Okay, looking for climate change in our episodes. We found the new urgency of climate change.
So that's the
Al
one.
Gore, do you want to listen to it right now? Hear more about this episode or search for another one?
Listen.
Okay, you are now listening to the new urgency of climate change. Al Gore.
You're listening to TED Talks Daily. I'm your host, Elise Hugh. The pandemic is deadly, economically devastating, and traumatizing.
Stop.
Do you want to make another search? Listen to the last episode or stop the skill?
Stop the skill.
Thanks for listening to TED Talks Daily Podcast. See you next time.
So that's it for the demo. I can also, let me just check that. Yeah, one more thing. As you can say, you have some, I'm using the conversational domain. That's some new SSML tag you can use. You can go to the Amazon documentation. So just do a SSML, Alexa SSML type. And you have some interesting stuff right there. So regarding, we are using that in a podcast, you have the news. So that's a way to do a better conversation, as the conversation will match what the user will listen to. So the podcast tend to be a bit quicker than a normal conversation. So that's also why you want to use also, for example, the new domain or conversational. That will add some I don't know how to say that, but that will twist a bit your conversation. So I'm mixing between conversational and also news. I think I'm using the news for the description. You also have the long for long text. You have the long form style speech for a long content such as podcast. So it's mean not for podcast skill, but it's mean if you want to read the content of a podcast or a blog and stuff like that. I think the news is for the description. Yes, right. So I'm using the news for the description because some of the description can have a large amount of text in there, so you want to speed up that a bit. And I also like the news intonation. So one more thing, you can, of course, as I was saying, because we are using that in a way that basically we are using two intent block right there. So the last and the search intent. You can launch the skill with a one-shot invocation, and for example, ask TED Talks Daily Podcast to play episode 5. You will go through straight to the episode 5. So that's something the user tend to like. They don't want to go all the convo stuff to get to the episode 5 when they can just launch the skill and do not even launch the skill, but do a one-shot invocation and go straight to the episode they want to listen to. So that will do something like that. Ask TED Talks Daily Podcast to play episode 5.
Okay, looking for episode number 5. We found how the pandemic will shape the near future. Bill Gates, do you want to listen to it right now? Hear more about this episode or search for another one?
Listen to it.
Okay, you are now listening how the pandemic will shape the near future. Bill Gates.
You're listening to TED Talks Daily. I'm Elise Hugh.
Stop.
Do you want to make another search? Listen to the last episode or stop
the skill.
Thanks for listening to TED Talks Daily Podcast. See you next time.
So as you can see,
killed more than 500,000 people.
Stop. So you can see the invocation goes straight to the search for the episode 5. We retrieve the episode 5 title. We tell we speak back the episode title and stuff like that. What you can do also, because I mean, if the user know the episode number, you should allow them to play the episode directly. You don't want, that's something I'm just thinking of right there. It can be different for a search by word. I mean, you may want to search for Bill Gates, for example, but you're not sure if the episode will be interesting for you. So it makes sense that you ask the user if they want to hear for the description. But it's likely that if you ask for an episode number, then they will want to listen to that episode straight away. So that's something you can add here, just to, if it's a search for an episode number, go straight to the stream block if they are coming from the first intent. So the first search block, for example. That's it. Yeah. I can't see any questions. So hopefully you will get everything right there. I will share that to the in the marketplace, and yeah, talk to you next week.
Thanks so much, guys. Thanks, Nico.